Okay, cool. So this is Endless Cash Flow. My name is Mike Rosica. I have been investing in a self-directed IRA for 17 years now, and it has been an awesome ride. I came across it by accident, and I'm here to show it to you on purpose. So the last recording that we did was on funding your retirement accounts. And I thought that was a good one. These videos will be posted up into the Retirement Cash Flow School community. I invite you all to join. I believe the link is in the chat for you if you can go back and check it out. But tonight's video is an even more important subject than funding your retirement is actually once you get your account funded, what exactly can you invest in, or what have I invested in that I can teach you folks to exponentially grow your retirement account? A very important topic, very exciting. It's hard to get people motivated and excited about growing their retirement account, something that they can't touch for 20 years or 30 years. Maybe you're a youngster. Hopefully you are. If you are a youngster in your 30s or maybe even in your 40s or 50s or 20s, doesn't really matter. The quicker you get started, the better it's going to be for you. That's fine. I know people that have started this at 65 years old and in a couple of years have been able to grow their retirement account exponentially. And so that's what tonight's webinar is all about. Like I said, feel free to join my school community, which is called Retirement Cash Flow. I'd love to see you in there. It's a free community. I will keep it free. This information will actually be in the classroom. And let me just make sure that, cool. So, all right, let's get started. So, once you get your retirement account funded, let's say you've got, I don't know, $40,000 in there, or let's say you've just started putting in the maximum contributions and you've done that for a year or so, you've got 14 grand in there. There's plenty of things that you can do. The thing that we started doing was taking a look at county auctions, county sheriff sales. There are 3,200 counties in the United States. And most of those counties have some type of a form of foreclosure auction. We were able to participate in some of these auctions and get properties at 60 to 70 cents on the dollar, which I just thought was a wonderful thing. Um, that's more of a hands-on type of investment. It's a little bit more difficult to do inside of your self-directed IRA because you're not physically allowed to actually touch that property. You would have to hire contractors to go out, do the work. You would actually fund these contractors with your retirement account. All the funds related to those properties that you pick up at sheriff sales need to be 100% funded by your retirement account. That's one of the government's rules as far as not commingling funds out of your retirement account and then take it out of your wallet and go buy materials for a rehab project. That's more of a real hands-on investment that can totally be done. You can actually find people that go to auctions. They need cash. They might need 50 grand to go ahead and buy a property for 150 grand. They've got 100 from somewhere else. You give them the 50, you're in business. You're getting a percentage of that purchase, those type of investments. Now, all of the investments that I'm going to talk about this evening, it's really going to all boil down to one thing at the end, which happens to be your network. And I will get to that towards the end of this call this evening on actually building up your network and who the heck you should be hanging out with to get these deals done, you know? So let's get back to the different types of investments. Investing in startups. Now, when you invest in a startup, a friend of yours comes over and says, "Hey, listen, I'm thinking about starting a new whatever, a carpet cleaning business." Startups are risky. And so with startups being risky, you can actually ask for more of a return on your investment once you get your retirement account open. Like I said, some of the other videos that I've already covered covers getting your retirement account open, getting your retirement account funded, and now we're talking about the different types of investments that we've done throughout the years that have given us some nice returns. So investing in a startup with a large risk factor, which actually can translate into a larger return for you. Investing in existing lower risk business loans where someone has a barber shop. Now, I have not actually done barbershops, not a fan of barbers, as you can tell, but I've seen people become very wealthy by sharing the profits on helping someone grow their business, expand their business, to go from one shop to two shops. Lets the business owner have some available operating capital for the next couple of years with a nice return at the end for you, however you decide to structure it. Again, that comes down to the people that you're hanging out with, people that are actually business owners and knowing where to hang out with these business owners. What was very beneficial for my retirement accounts was I was well versed in the non-performing note business, and I had a source of non-performing notes. This bank was supplying us with product. I was buying those notes inside of my self-directed IRA. I started one retirement account with $11,000. I bought two non-performing notes. One of them paid off very quickly with a $25,000 payoff. The other one, I sold that note, tripled the price. I bought that note for $3,000. I sold that for $9,000. So now I had $35,000 in my retirement account. From $11,000, I took that $35,000, bought four more notes, and the story just unfolded that way, where I was actually flipping notes and working notes inside my IRA. That amount of debt that I managed to accumulate in the last 5 years has turned out to be about $850,000 in non-performing debt out of an $11,000 investment. I have not funded a single dime to that account. I started that account with just $11,000. But you actively have to work it. You actively have to participate. You actively have to go out and find assets. You actively have to go out and find people that can buy those assets off of you, help those people work through the assets. You got to get involved, people. I mean, if you want to retire wealthy, you just can't sit back and wait for the government to take care of you. They could care less whether you're wealthy or on the street. Uh, I look at what my Social Security amount is compared to the amount of income that comes in off of these performing assets. Every time I add another stream of income into my retirement account, that money just stacks up. Now, a little side note. I'm right. I have just completed a book called Die with Zero. And it was a very liberating book because at my age of 66 years old, I feel like I still have to accumulate. I feel like I still have to build up my retirement accounts. This is just human nature. I feel like I have to accumulate and get more assets and partner up with more people and gather more cash flow coming in. But this book taught me there's two things about money. One is saving money, and the other thing about money is spending it. And this book is all about spending it as well. And he calls your years prior to 65 or 70 years old as your go-go years. Like you want to go and go and go. Even when you're 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, you're still functional. You're still able to go, go, go. Travel around the world. Go. Spend your money. And then from 70 to, I think he said 70 to 80 years old, he calls it your slow-go years, which is like, yeah, it's a lot harder to leave the house when you're 70 to 80 years old. I never thought about this kind of stuff. At 66 years old myself, I think about, I don't think as much about spending my retirement as much as teaching this business, like I'm teaching you here tonight, teaching and accumulating with my students to accumulate more assets. And it's the cash that's been building up. It's like, let's go burn through some of that. That book has taught me so much. And if you go to my school retirement club called Retirement Cash Flow, join my club, find that link on that book, Die with Zero, and get the whatever version you like. If you like a paperback version, if you like, I'm a big Audible fan. This book was fascinating and enlightening and very liberating because you, like I said, you feel like you have to just keep accumulating because it's a habit. I started building these retirement accounts almost 20 years ago at 47 years old, 48 years old. And it's just been my mode of look for assets, buy assets, partner up with other people, get some assets together. And like I said, this book has shined a light on me to say, you know what? I think we're all in a little bit better place than we think we are because of this mentality of accumulation of assets. Anyway, let's get back to it. So I flipped all different types of real estate assets. I've flipped buildings. I've flipped notes. Like I said, I still continue to flip notes. I still continue to work notes that are inside my retirement account. I think we have 5 notes that we're working on right now, which will turn into 5 more streams of income into my retirement account. It's fantastic. I think we're working on 1 note outside of my retirement account, which is money that I can spend when it comes in. Money that goes into my retirement account, it's a little bit more of a challenge to get that money out of my retirement account because of this accumulation mode that I've been in all these years. But I'm learning. I'm working on that, and hopefully you can learn that too. So funding flips, fix and flips. This is probably the most popular form of self-directed IRA investing today. But it still means that you have to go out and find people that are out looking for and purchasing fix and flip properties. They require capital. Usually they've got some really good hands-on craftsmanship skills as far as installing kitchens and assessing what the repair value is, the after repair value on these houses. And this could be nationwide. I know people doing these deals in Louisiana, and I know Mississippi, and I know people that are doing deals out in Ohio. They want to grow. They want to do 10 fix and flips in a month instead of 2. Well, they need cash for that. And they are good at handling the construction crews and the materials and the material purchasing. They're just cash poor. And that's where you come in to actually fund these deals. And you can make decent returns in a very short amount of time by connecting with these people and doing fix and flips. Like I said, I've flipped notes. And the notes that I didn't actually sell out to My network, I was able to rehab those notes and turn them into cash streams. Uh, it's all about cash flow. You know, the name of this series is called Endless Cash Flow. Uh, so let's just take one of the five notes that we are currently working on right now. I believe we worked out a payment schedule to where the borrower was going to come up with $6,000 as a downstroke and then $500 a month or $486 a month for the next 15 years. Well, the next 15 years, I'll be like 82 years old. And just to get 500 bucks a month rolling in, and what usually happens after about 5 years of these borrowers making payments, something happens. We all know that real estate changes hands every 5 to 7 years, and this borrower may decide to sell their house. This borrower may decide to refinance and cash us out. And that just puts in another lump of cash for me to go out and find another deal. I don't mind finding deals. It beats the heck out of going to work every day. If I'm out talking to my network, looking for assets to purchase in my self-directed IRA, I'm all about that. I'd like you to be all about that too. So what it really all comes down to, and I started talking about this in the beginning, is about creating your network. Now, whatever group you belong to, whether it's a school, SKOOL, club, which I'm a big fan of. There are multiple real estate investment clubs within the school community. I advise you to join as many of them as you can stand. I advise you to turn the notifications on, again, on as many of these things as you can stand, and start jumping on webinars and primarily start posting questions about what it is that you are most interested in. And let's see. So let me just turn this off for 1 second here. So yeah, it really is more about your network than it is. You just turn this one other thing off. Okay, good. Whoops. I am lost in Zoom here. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Um, so it really is, this may be, some people get offended by this. I don't care. You probably need to go out and find new friends. When I was working in a machine shop in 2005, my network consisted of the five guys that I went out to lunch with on a regular basis. And these guys weren't talking about going out and looking for rental properties. They weren't talking about turning $11,000 into $850,000. They were talking about getting a raise, working more hours, possibly finding a new job with a little bit better pay. They were talking about what broke people talk about, getting, benefits, a better benefit package. And they weren't big thinkers. And so I had to basically, as rude as it sounds, I had to actually fire some of my friends and go out and find new friends. And I went out and I found new friends by joining groups. Just like we're on this call this evening, going out and listening to the recording on different Zooms and actually finding your niche. I found my niche with the non-performing note business. That may not be for you, but there are groups out there where there may be 1,000 people in one of these school communities, let's say. But out of those 1,000, there may be only 10 people that are actually doing anything about it. The other 990 are just hanger-outers, and they think they want to get something done. They would like for someone to hand them something, but it just doesn't happen. But the people, the 10 people that are in that group, that are usually at the top of the leaderboard, as you post and you get more likes and you get more people that are following you and you are following other people, I have met some fantastic people that didn't know that I was a high school dropout, that didn't know that I was just a machinist. They heard what I was talking about with whatever I was talking about at the time, whether it was some of my rental properties that I was talking about or some of the note deals that I was doing. They could care less about my diploma. They could care less about what I really was doing for a living for the first 40 years of my life. All they cared about was networking with me and finding out what it was that I had to speak on. Right now, I'm speaking on using my self-directed IRAs for these type of investments. Go out there and become an expert at whatever field it is that you really enjoy. I really enjoy the notion of helping people open up a self-directed IRA and turn that into $1 million. Turn that into $1 million while you still have your side gig. You could still be working 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week with your W-2. I bought my first rental 6 years before I quit my job. It was a two-family house, and then 3 years later, I bought another two-family house, and I just kept the momentum going. Even though I was a W-2 employee, I really felt like I was doing something for my retirement. Now, that was 25 years ago. And in that 25 years, I have gone back and thanked my past self for taking the time out of a very busy family responsibilities that I had back in 1999 to go and buy that first two-family house, because that was the first move that I made for myself. Up until that point, I was making all the moves to make my boss rich. I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed the accomplishments, but I was not doing anything for my own retirement. And when I made that first decision to buy that first two-family house, everybody says, oh, real estate's too expensive right now. And in 1999, $141,000 was like the edge of the world. It was like I only had paid $100,000 for my own house that I was living in. And now I was spending $141,000 on a house that I will probably never use or sleep in. It was strictly an investment. And I just used the formula of the 1% rule of I bought it for $140,000 and I used 1% of the income. $1,400 a month was coming in, $700 up and $700 down. And I went for it. And that first step made me realize that I was hanging around with the wrong people. Because when I went to work and I told people that I was doing that, there was only one guy that said, wow, that's awesome. Everybody else said, you're crazy, you shouldn't do it, it's risky, you're going to lose all your money, you're going to be dealing with these tenants, they're going to take it to the cleaners. And I only had one person say, who's your mortgage broker? And he went out and bought himself a two-family house. And at the same time, in 1999, and I bet you that guy still has that property. And I bet you he has other ones too. The initial step of stepping out of your comfort zone and first opening up that retirement account. Now, you don't have to buy everything in your retirement account, But once you spend the $500 to open up the account, that's what it costs, about $550 a year. With my custodian, I use specialized trust to open up my self-directed IRA. By opening up that account and looking at it on my computer and going, I need to get some money in there. I need to get some assets in there. I need to build this thing up. Your world changes. You start going out and driving to work, taking different routes. Because now I'm looking for real estate. I'm not only just trying to get to work, I'm looking for deals. I'm like, that house has been looking ugly like that for 2 years. Grass is growing over. What's up with this address? I look up the address. I do a county record search. Now I'm looking for different things. I'm not just looking to get to work and maybe a little road rage along the way. I'm looking for deals. Whether it's inside my IRA or outside my IRA, I became an investor the day that I started looking for deals. Not the day that I bought my first deal, the day that I started looking for deals. And when you open up a retirement account, you start looking for deals. You start looking for these new people that you want to start hanging around with. You start looking for people that can speak the same language that that we're talking about right now. It was a conscious decision to become an investor. Even though I was an investor with no property, I became an investor when I called up a realtor. I said, let's go look for some houses on Saturday. I'm free Saturday morning. What do you got for me? This first woman, she sent me over 20 listings. I'm like, this lady is good. She knew that I was serious. She knew that I had a connection with a mortgage broker. And off we went looking at properties. I don't know. I looked at 30 properties, 40 properties. This two-family house that I ended up buying, there was a group of girls living in the downstairs apartment and a group of girls living in the upstairs apartment. And there was the landlord who had gotten a divorce, and he was living in the basement, and he was creeping everybody out because that first floor apartment had a staircase or has a staircase connecting to the basement. And here's this guy camping out in the basement with spiders and bugs creeping out these girls. And he had to sell this property. And these girls wanted him out bad. And the day that I bought that property, they're like, thank you so much for buying this property. And it was one of those type of deals that that guy had to sell, and he had to get the heck out of there, and he could use the money to do whatever he needed to do to get an apartment to move out. Um, that was my first deal, and that's when I realized that there are actually assets out there to this day, right now. Right now, there are distressed assets that are not being looked at by the mainstream group of investors that are out there. Like I said, there's 3,200 counties out there, and that's 3,200 places that you can go out and start looking for deals. Now, on my next webinar on endless cash flow, I'm going to show you how to go through the county records. Now, you can figure this out on your own. You don't need to wait for me to do this webinar, the next webinar, to go out and look at county records, figure out what's being recorded. You can actually look to see what houses are going to come up for auction. Look at the assets that are maybe in your neighborhood or maybe they're across country. When I first got into real estate, I thought I had to buy in my own backyard. That's a typical mentality of a new investor is I want to drive by this thing on the way to work tomorrow morning and make sure that the tenants brought the garbage cans in from the pickup, and I want to make sure that they're not parking, double parking, or whatever it is. You want to keep your eye on these assets, but it's very easy to go nationwide. I went nationwide 8 years after I bought my first two-family house. I started buying mortgages nationwide. I realized that the internet Even from 1999 to 2007, the internet has grown exponentially as far as the information that I could gather nationwide. And I mean, I've got one of my alumni students who lives in Melbourne, Australia, and he owns 15 rental properties in Ohio, all in one town. He's got a team. He put a team together. This guy's a go-getter. He can do that business from Melbourne, Australia, and look as though he lives in Florida. He's got a Florida phone number. He's got a Florida bank account. He's got Florida everything. It looks like he's in Florida, but he doesn't have to come to the States every time he buys a rental property. He's got a property management company, and we're going to partner up. We've already partnered up on 7 deals together with him, and I want to start partnering up with him on some of his rental deals just because I can, just because it's fun. Um, he could use the cash. I'm sure he could use some boots, more boots on the ground over here in the States. And these are the kind of people you need to be hanging out with. People that are real, people that have realized that their wealth and their retirement is entirely up to their actions. And to realize that, hey, tomorrow is a weekday. Tomorrow I could actually call up one of these self-directed IRA custodians. I recommend Specialized Trust. I recommend CAMA Plan, CAMAPLAN. Many of my students use CAMA Plan. They're in Bluebell, Pennsylvania. And I'm okay with both of those custodians for the complexity that I like to see the type of deals that they are doing and what they allow us as investors to do. And you can literally open up your account on a weekday, like tomorrow, with 500 bucks, get that account open and start joining these groups and start talking to people that know what they're talking about, people that want to do deals, and be that person to say, hey, listen, I know of a guy who talks about using self-directed IRAs. Let me show you that. Whatever it is, whatever you can become an expert at to start showing other people how to get what it is that they're looking for. Okay, so can this be done equally in Puerto Rico? So we actually, it's a great question, and we are in the process of figuring out. So there's 2 attorneys that I recommend that are experts in Puerto Rico. The first attorney is a guy named John Hyre, Hyre. Now, John lives in Puerto Rico. He's doing the Act 60 process where most of his business is internet based. John Hyre is an accountant, a CPA, and a lawyer, from what I understand. I've gone and seen him speak a couple of times. The last time was 2021 in Atlanta. He does come to the States just to keep his status of this Act 60. Used to be called the Act 20 and Act 22, where he has to spend at least 180 days in Puerto Rico to get the status, tax status. But he has to hire a certain number of employees that are local to Puerto Rico. And his tax strategies are second to none as far as what I've seen. And he does hold education courses on these types of strategies. I recommend that you look him up. And then he also has a partner. His name is Jeff Watson. Jeff Watson is an Ohio attorney. John Heyer used to be an Ohio attorney as well, and these guys teamed up years ago before John Heyer moved to Puerto Rico. And so Jeff Watson and John Heyer are both well versed in the United States and Puerto Rico. I know Puerto Rico has some type of similar retirement account, good stuff that we have here in the States. So I would definitely look into that. Like I said, John Heyer has different education programs that he makes available on a regular basis. So that's a great question about using. Now, I know people that are in Puerto Rico buying properties with my self-directed IRA money. So let's say I've got 200 grand. You find a deal. You get in touch with me. Hey, listen, I found a deal in Puerto Rico. My IRA does not care. All my IRA cares about is the return on my investment because I have what's called checkbook control and I have money sitting in a trust from my IRA, sitting in a trust ready to do business. And whatever that business that I decide to invest in is my business. The money goes out of my trust into your rehab or your rental property in Puerto Rico. Take those funds. I get a return on that investment. The money comes back into my trust, and I can't touch that money directly from my trust. The trust then has to send that money back to my specialized trust custodian, and then I'm able to do withdrawals or disbursements, whatever you want to call it. And so there's really so many different workarounds to do deals that are just available out there. It's all just finding the people that have the knowledge to show you how they've done deals in the past. I literally only speak to the deals that I've actually been able to do. The thing that I have not done on this list, I've done sheriff sales, sheriff's auctions. I've invested in a high risk business that actually I had to chase this guy down big time and actually take his jet ski as collateral for him to pay me back. That was one of my risky business loans that I ended up with a jet ski until he came up with the money and paid my money back. So that I did the deal. Didn't work out very good. I've done fix and flips. I've done funding fix and flips. I have flipped notes and rehab notes, and I have definitely worked on my network. I have so many people in my network now that know, like, and trust me that I think that I have an unlimited cash flow of of finding deals. One of my students just came up and said he found a $61 million pool of non-performing notes. And he says, do you think we can come up with $6.1 million to buy this pool at 10 cents on the dollar? And I said, yes. Or I'm about to say yes as soon as I get off this call. To say, absolutely, I can put that deal together and come up with 6 million bucks, 2 phone calls, 3 phone calls. And that's going to be leaving a lot of people out. My network, folks, is everything. I spend a lot of time, not a lot of time, but a lot of effort posting and answering questions and coming up with ideas of information that I can share into these investment groups. I love it. I think that's the type of people that I want to be hanging around with. Without putting my old friends down. They they were good for certain things. And then when I started getting on these different group conference calls, I realized that, like I said, these people didn't know they were doctors and lawyers and investors, and they owned hedge funds, and they were about to own hedge funds, and they were about to start creating syndications to buy apartment complexes. They didn't know that I was a high school dropout. They didn't know that I worked as a machinist for most of my life. They all they cared about was when I became what I consider myself to be somewhat of a specialist when it comes to self-directed IRAs. They wanted that information, and I gave them that information, and then they started coming up with deals. They started asking me, how can I raise capital using a self-directed IRA? I'm like, well, you go out and you teach people how to open up a self-directed IRA. They fund it with their dead 401ks, and all of a sudden now you've got 2 million bucks because these people are looking for something to invest in. And if you can give them a 6 or 8% return on their money annually, they're happy to get that because their 401k was just sitting there dormant. Maybe it was losing money, 2% a year, was not even keeping up with inflation, especially nowadays, with inflation being the ugly monster that it is. People are looking for returns, and their cash is just sitting in the bank account getting 2 or 3%, which is a joke when you can be out doing deals using their capital. There's an endless supply of cash flow. I really can't wait to show you the large amount of information on the next webinar, the information that's sitting inside the county websites. Because everything that's worthwhile is recorded, meaning when someone takes out a mortgage, $400,000, that mortgage gets recorded at the county website. When that mortgage transfers from one owner, let's say the originator, which is Bank of America sold that loan to Ocwen. Well, there's a document called an assignment. And when that loan left Bank of America, it left Bank of America for a reason. It might have gone non-performing, and Ocwen is a big buyer of non-performing debt. And when that loan went non-performing, Bank of America sold that loan at a discount to the next owner. And then that loan went from Ocwen to another owner, and then maybe it trickled down to me. And little old me can own a loan that was created by Bank of America. It follows the assignment chain. And then when that assignment comes to me, I need to record an assignment. And now you can look me up and say, oh, would you be interested in selling that loan? That's all recorded. That is all public information that no one takes advantage of, or very few people take advantage of that free knowledge. I'm very excited to teach that. I've never really put that down other than in my training videos that I have for my students to go ahead and show people how to extract this wealth of information that sits at the county level of whatever county in the country you want to work in. Some counties are easier to extract the information than others. Florida is a wonderful state to extract information. Every county in Florida, I think there's 21, has a wonderful website where everything is accessible from the world, wherever you are. Also, Florida has a wonderful online auction process, which actually makes it very competitive because I could be competing with someone sitting in China and they're bidding on these houses in Florida, sight unseen, And here I am trying to get this house at 70 cents on the dollar because that's how I buy stuff, is at a discount. And these people are just clicking through and buying it. They don't even care. They may be sitting on a wealth of cash that they just want to get that into the United States. And so that's a highly competitive place to do auctions compared to other states that you actually physically have to appear at these auctions to participate. So there's all different levels of difficulty to extract the information. Some counties you actually physically have to go in to the courthouse, to the county clerks, ask for permission to sit down and dig through their file system, whether it's on a computer, on their own computer. Nothing is online. It's public information, but you have to physically go there to get that public information. It's awesome. And once you get into this world of investing and you start talking to people that have been there the whole time. Oh yeah, I've been going to, this one woman that I've been talking to for years now. She goes, "Oh, I go to my county seat every quarter." And I just look, I start to recognize the names, I start to recognize who the players are. I start to recognize the foreclosure attorneys. I'm talking to the foreclosure attorneys. I'm talking to the county clerk. The county clerk now knows me well. I walk in, they're like, "Hey, have you seen this deal? This is, they're starting foreclosure on this property again. This is the third time this property's been in foreclosure. I think it's going to go through this time." Because people were pulling it out of foreclosure and say, once you get into this world, if you want to, I mean, a lot of people don't want to. They're content with their job. They're content working a 9 to 5. People leave them alone when they go to work. I do my thing. I come home. It's not for everybody. But for the few of you that it is, it's a wonderful world that really, it never ends. And you can turn this into endless cash flow. Uh, I love the name of this program, Endless Cash Flow, because uh, it truly is. My rentals will continue to pay whether I'm on vacation or I'm home or I'm dead. My rentals will continue to pay. It's an endless cash flow. And now, because I've got so much time, water under the bridge, that these things have appreciated so much that there's no better time to plant a tree than now, other than 25 years ago. And I'm glad I planted the couple of trees that I did 25 years ago, but I'm still planting today. And you can do the same thing. So, again, my school club is called Retirement Cash Flow. You can also go to Retirement Cash Flow on YouTube and see that's a brand new YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Retirement Cash Flow is the name of it. I plan on putting a lot more content up about self-directed IRAs. Less than 1% of the country uses self-directed IRAs. Less than 1% of the country. No one even knows they exist. Now, these things came into existence in 1974. The IRS came up with the notion of having people take care of their own retirement account. It's not up to their employers anymore. It's not up to pensions. Pensions are almost a thing of the past now. They put the retirement burden on the employee, which is you and me, and less than 1% of the country uses a self-directed IRA to invest in the things that I talk about. And some of the things that I don't talk about. There are people that are forming partnerships. I don't even talk about rentals. There are 4 and 5 people getting together, pooling their money together, and forming a partnership and buying rental property, hiring a property rental company. When that money stacks up, they go out and buy another one, and another one, and another one. And people have put 60 rentals into their portfolio in 3 years. That's crazy. That is a crazy good thing. But it's the people. You have to go hang with these people that are looking for 60 rentals. You know, 99% of the people that you run into in the grocery store or wherever you do your networking, they don't even think that owning 60 properties is a possibility. But there are people that own 300 properties, and they're all in these groups. They're all just looking to talk to other people about this. You will find once you get into this world that the people that are successful, that are truly successful, and you're not out to take your money, they love to share the knowledge. It's very rewarding to feel as though, hey, I've got my retirement accounts now. Let me see if I can help a few other people get their retirement accounts open. It's almost like a selfishness on my own part because it's a self-satisfaction of say, hey, I'm doing this to make myself feel good, and which is selfish in a way. But if it helps somebody out along the way, that's a perfect thing too. But I appreciate you folks being on this call. Again, retirement cash flow, which is a school community. Join that community. Look me up. See what other groups that I belong to inside my community just by clicking on my profile. You'll see, I think I belong to about 22 other communities that I love to monitor, that I love to post in. And by doing that, I get invited to speak at these different things. I advise you to do the same thing. Again, thanks for being on, and see you on the next one. Good night.